My dear students, welcome back to our channel. In this video, I will be explaining the B.Ed second semester subject content and pedagogy of social science education at secondary stage, as prescribed by Osmania University and other universities of Telangana. We will go through the important questions and answers one by one. Let's begin with a quick revision. Unit 10 first important short question is: define formative and summative assessment. Formative and summative assessment. Formative assessment is done during the learning process to check students' understanding and guide improvement. It is continuous and helps teachers adjust teaching. Example: a teacher gives a quick quiz after a history lesson to see if students understood the topic and revises it if needed. Summative assessment is done at the end of a topic, term, or year to evaluate overall learning and give grades or marks. Example: a final exam at the end of the semester to check what students have learned in social science. Feature formative summative. When done during teaching after teaching ends. Purpose: to improve learning, to measure achievement. Example: class quiz, group activity, term end exam, board exams. Easy tip. Think of formative assessment like a midway health check to get better and summative assessment like a final report card to show progress. Next important short question is: 2. What is the significance of school-based assessment? Significance of school-based assessment, SBA. School-based assessment, SBA, means evaluating students regularly in their own school by their teachers instead of only depending on board exams. It focuses on the overall development of students, not just memorization. SBA helps teachers understand students' strengths and weaknesses through projects, class tests, activities, and participation. It gives students chances to improve continuously instead of facing pressure from one big exam. Example: a social science teacher assesses students through map work, group discussions, and presentations to check understanding of geography and history, not just written tests. Benefits of SBA: reduces exam stress, focuses on skills and values, encourages regular study habits, gives teachers real insight into students' learning. Easy tip. Think of SBA as learning step by step, like checking your progress while walking a long road, not just at the finish line. Next important short question is: 3. Mention 2 strategies for self or peer assessment. 2 strategies for self or peer assessment. 1. Self-reflection journals. Students write a short journal or checklist after each lesson about what they learned, what they found difficult, and how they can improve. Example: after a social science lesson on the Indian freedom movement, a student notes, "I understood the role of Gandhi well but need to revise the non-cooperation movement timeline." This helps students take ownership of their learning. 2. Peer feedback in groups. Students work in pairs or small groups to review each other's assignments or presentations. They give constructive comments using a teacher-given checklist. Example: in a group project about climate change, students give feedback like, "Your map is clear, but add more data about rainfall patterns." This builds communication, teamwork, and critical thinking skills. Easy tip. Think of self and peer assessment as looking in a mirror, self, and having a friend check your work, peer, to improve faster. Next important short question is: 4. What is a blueprint in test construction? Blueprint in test construction. A blueprint in test construction is a detailed plan or map that shows how a question paper will be designed. It helps teachers decide how many questions, their type, objective, short or long, and which topics and skills they will test. It ensures the paper is fair, balanced, and covers all parts of the syllabus. For example, in a social science test, the blueprint may say 10 marks from geography, 15 marks from history, 5 marks from civics, and also decide the number of easy, moderate, and difficult questions. Blueprints help teachers avoid bias, manage time, and make sure students are tested on important concepts rather than random topics. Easy tip. Think of a blueprint as a recipe for a perfect question paper. It tells you what ingredients, questions to use and in what quantity. Next important short question is 5. Write any two uses of assessment as a feedback mechanism. 1. Helps teachers improve teaching. Assessment feedback tells teachers how well students understand a topic. If many students score low in a social science lesson, the teacher knows they need to explain differently or give more examples. For example, if students struggle with a history chapter, the teacher might use timelines or pictures to make it easier. 2. Helps students improve learning. Feedback guides students to know their mistakes and work on weak areas. Instead of only giving marks, teachers can add comments like, revise map locations for geography. This motivates students to correct errors and gain confidence. Assessment as feedback is not just for grading. It is like a mirror that shows what is going well and what needs improvement for both teachers and students. Electric light bulb easy tip. Think of feedback as a GPS in learning. It shows where you are and how to reach your goal. Next, Unit 10. Long questions. First important long question is 1. Explain the development of learning indicators and academic standards in social science assessment. Development of learning indicators and academic standards in social science assessment. Learning indicators and academic standards are tools to measure how well students are learning. They act like a roadmap for teachers and students, showing what knowledge, skills, and values a student should achieve at each stage. 1. Learning indicators. Learning indicators are signs or clues that show students are learning. They are developed by breaking lessons into small goals. For example, in a geography lesson on climate, indicators may include the student can read and interpret a climate map. The student can explain why regions have different climates. Observing different skills, teachers check knowledge, facts, understanding, concepts, and application using information. Making them age-appropriate. For Class 6 students, indicators may focus on drawing simple maps, while for Class 10, they include analyzing data. 2. Academic standards. Academic standards define what every student must achieve at the end of a class or subject. They are like benchmarks that ensure quality education. For example, a history standard may say, students should be able to describe India's freedom movement and its leaders. A civics standard may say, students can explain the functions of parliament. How they are developed. 1. Identify learning goals from the syllabus. 2. Decide key skills like map reading, critical thinking, or teamwork. 3. Set clear expectations for each class. 4. Create simple tools like rubrics or checklists to measure progress. Importance. Gives clarity to students about what to achieve. Helps teachers design better lesson plans and assessments. Ensures fair and equal evaluation for all students. Makes learning practical and skill-based rather than only memorization. Quick example. If the standard says, students should locate Indian states on a map, the indicator will be student can correctly mark all 28 states and capitals. Remember, learning indicators are like small steps, and academic standards are the final goalpost. Together, they make social science learning clear, measurable, and student-friendly. Next important long question is to discuss various strategies for continuous assessment and 360 degrees assessment with examples. Strategies for continuous assessment and 360 degrees assessment. Assessment is not just about exams at the end of the year, it is about checking learning regularly to guide students. Continuous and 360 degrees assessments make learning more student-focused and skill-based. 1. Continuous assessment (CA). Continuous assessment means evaluating students regularly during the learning process rather than waiting for final exams. Strategies for CA. Quizzes and class tests. Small, regular quizzes on topics like history, dates, or geography facts keep students alert. Assignments and projects. Asking students to create a poster on freedom fighters or a model of the solar system tests creativity and understanding. Class participation. Teachers observe students' involvement in discussions and debates, like a debate on democracy versus monarchy. Practical activities. For example, students can collect news articles about environmental issues and present them. Oral assessments. Teachers ask quick questions to check understanding. Benefits. Students get instant feedback, reduce stress of one big exam, and develop problem-solving and presentation skills. 2. 360 degrees assessment. 360 degrees assessment means getting feedback from multiple sources, teachers, peers, parents, and self-assessment. It provides a complete picture of a student's learning. Strategies for 360 degrees assessment. Peer assessment. Students check each other's work and provide suggestions. Self-assessment. Students reflect on their strengths and weaknesses. Parent feedback. Parents share observations about their child's interest and learning habits. Teacher feedback. Regular guidance and tips for improvement. Portfolio evaluation. A folder of all projects, assignments, and achievements is reviewed. Example, in a geography class, a student's grade may come from project work, teacher's review. Teamwork in a map activity, peer review, presentation skills, self-review, and study habits, parent review. Importance. Encourages all-round development, not just academics, but communication, creativity, and teamwork. Reduces exam fear and motivates students to learn continuously. Builds a strong teacher-student relationship with constant feedback. Tip to remember. Continuous assessment is like daily health checkups, while 360 degrees assessment is a full-body scan. Both ensure complete growth. Next important long question is 3. Explain how to prepare test items, set question papers, and make scoring keys for social science concepts. Preparing test items, question papers, and scoring keys in social science. Assessments in social science should measure knowledge, understanding, skills, and values. A well-prepared test ensures fairness and helps teachers evaluate students accurately. 1. Preparing test items. Test items are questions or tasks that students answer. Start with the learning objectives. For example, if the topic is Indian freedom struggle, decide whether to test facts, understanding, or analysis. Use different types of questions. Objective, multiple choice or true-false. Example, who started the Quit India movement? Short answer, write 2 effects of British rule on Indian agriculture. Essay, explain Gandhiji's role in India's independence. Ensure clarity and avoid tricky wording. 2. Setting question papers. Follow the blueprint or TOS, table of specification. This ensures a balanced paper covering all units and skill levels, knowledge, understanding, application. Variety, include maps, timelines, and case studies to make it interesting. Marks distribution, example, 20% knowledge, 40% understanding, 30% application, 10% creativity. Difficulty levels, mix easy, moderate, and challenging questions. Example structure. Section A, 1 mark MCQs. Section B, 2 marks short answers. Section C, 5 marks long answers. Section D, map-based questions. 3. Making scoring keys. Scoring keys ensure fair and consistent evaluation. Write model answers for each question. Assign marks for each point. For example, for write 3 features of democracy, each correct feature can get 1 mark. Include alternative correct answers if students explain concepts in their own words. Example. For a history question, explain 3 causes of the revolt of 1857. Scoring key. Political causes, 1 mark. Economic causes, 1 mark. Social religious causes, 1 mark. Importance. Makes exams fair, systematic, and stress-free. Helps teachers judge students' real understanding. Encourages students to focus on concepts, not rote learning. Tip. Think of preparing a paper like cooking a meal. It should have the right balance of flavors, topics, nutrition, skills, and presentation, structure. Next important long question is 4. Describe the process of performance-based assessment and assessment of group activities, field observations, and reporting. Performance-based assessment and assessment of group activities, field observations, and reporting. Performance-based assessment is a way of testing students by making them do real tasks rather than just answering written questions. It focuses on skills, creativity, teamwork, and understanding. In social science, this method makes learning more meaningful because students connect theory to real life. 1. Performance-based assessment process. 1. Set clear goals. Decide what skills you want to assess. Example, map reading, research, presentation. 2. Create real tasks. Example, making a chart on climate zones or role-playing a debate on democracy. 3. Provide instructions. Explain clearly what students must do and how they will be scored. 4. Assess using rubrics. Give marks for creativity, accuracy, teamwork, and clarity. Example. A student presents a project on the Harappan civilization with drawings and models. Marks are given for research, 5, creativity, 3, and explanation, 2. 2. Assessment of group activities. Students work in teams to complete a task, like making a poster on sustainable development. Teachers observe teamwork, leadership, communication, and participation. Each member gets feedback for their role. Example, a group performs a skit on women's rights. Marks are given for message clarity, teamwork, and acting. 3. Field observations. Students visit a historical place, government office, or local market. They note observations like cultural heritage or economic activities. Teachers assess based on observation skills, note-taking, and questions asked. Example, during a museum visit, students sketch artifacts and write their significance. 4. Reporting. After activities or field visits, students prepare a report with headings, pictures, and reflections. Marks are given for organization, facts, and presentation. Example, a report on a panchayat meeting includes agenda points, decisions made, and student reflections. Why it's useful? Builds critical thinking, creativity, and confidence. Encourages practical learning instead of rote memorization. Makes students active participants in their learning journey. Tip: think of this assessment as a mirror of real life. It tests what students can do, not just what they can remember. Next important long question is 5. Discuss the concept and modes of evaluation in social science, highlighting its role in improving teaching and learning. Concept and modes of evaluation in social science. Evaluation is the process of judging how well students are learning and how effective teaching methods are. In social science, evaluation is not just about marks, but about understanding concepts, thinking critically, and applying knowledge in real life. Concept of evaluation. It is continuous. Teachers assess learning throughout the year, not only in exams. It is comprehensive, includes knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values. It is formative and summative. Formative, regular checks like quizzes, class discussions, or projects to improve learning. Summative, final tests, exams, or assignments to measure achievement at the end of a unit. Example, a student learning about the Indian economy can be evaluated on understanding concepts, formative. And a final test on GDP and industries, summative. Modes of evaluation. 1. Written tests, objective and subjective questions to check knowledge. 2. Performance assessment. Students do tasks like debates, map work, or model building. 3. Observation and field work. Teachers observe participation in group activities, field visits, or surveys. 4. Portfolio assessment. Collection of student work like projects, notes, and presentations. 5. Self and peer assessment. Students evaluate their own or classmates' work for reflection and improvement. Example, while studying urbanization, students may create a chart showing city growth, present findings in groups, and submit a report. Teachers can assess based on accuracy, teamwork, and presentation. Role in improving teaching and learning. Provides feedback to students on strengths and weaknesses. Helps teachers improve teaching strategies. Encourages active learning rather than rote memorization. Promotes critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving. Tip to remember, evaluation in social science is like a compass on a journey. It shows both teachers and students where they are and how to move forward successfully.